الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد, tonight بإذن الله تعالى Jum'ah, the night of Saturday, of course, Laylatul Sabt, the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. That's today. Hajj starts today, right? Tarwiyah. 8th of Dhul Hijjah, 1424, which is in agreement with the I thought you said the 40th.
No.
The 30th of January 2004. We study. So that's the good things about these events. And it keeps everybody upon the time. Normally, if it wasn't this Hajj time, nobody would probably know what the Hijri date was. We take the monumental work of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah that he wrote to the people of Wasit. The Aqidah that he wrote to the people of Wasit, entitled Aqidah al Wasitiyyah, of course. Explained by Shaykh Muhammad Salih al-Uthaymin, rahimahullah. Now, we've been away for a second or so I don't see much benefit at this point in trying to review Ilhad. And what is Ilhad? And what is Ilhad in the ayat of Allah? How many types is that? And what is Ilhad in the names and qualities of Allah, and what types are those? Bismillah ta'ala, we will review it inshallah ta'ala. Bismillah after Eid, inshallah. Go back over it. Because if I review it now, it'll take up much of the time, and we won't get to anything or cover any new areas in the dars. We had promised last time to explain the 3 types of evidences that is understood from a name or from a noun, if you will, if you're talking in the language sense. The 3 types. Musa Richardson translated it, and for some the translation needs some help in the area of clarity. And I think the best clarification is by example. And the 3 forms of evidences that the Sheikh brings is when he says, maybe from this standpoint, we will begin to talk about the evidences that are understood from a name or from an ism. You can say noun if you want. It has الاسم له أنواع ثلاثة في دلالة. It has 3 areas of evidence. Once again, those brothers who are new to this lesson, I have no fear, inshallah ta'ala, if you don't understand this portion of the lesson, there will be, inshallah ta'ala, some portion of the lesson where you will understand, inshallah ta'ala. But keeping with, for the integrity of what the Sheikh wrote, from the standpoint of amana, ilmiyah, trustworthiness regarding the knowledge, then it must be conveyed, inshaAllah ta'ala, so that there is some type of continuity from what the Shaykh has said, each portion of what he's brought. It's not for us to make ikhtisar, to abridge the words of the Shaykh. But inshaAllah ta'ala, we put it out there. Those who inshaAllah ta'ala understand and benefit, فَبِهَا وَنِعْمَةً, and those who don't, inshallah ta'ala, they will understand it later, or whatever the case may be. They'll seek more knowledge and acquire more understanding, and then later they'll come back to it, and the light will click on, they say, oh, this is what that meant, and like this. So, 3 methods of evidences that you understand from it. In the Arabic, and he wrote it on page, in English, book Qawaid al-Mutla, he has it on page 25. It's under the title, the 4th principle concerning Allah's names. And this is why I said secondary reading for this class, for these classes, is very important. Books that you read on the side, like the translation of Names and Qualities of Allah by Sa'adi, that's been translated. Names and Qualities, or the belief in al-Sunnah regarding Names and Qualities of Allah by Muhammad Tamimi, the professor at the Islamic University. And also Qawaid al-Muthla, the principles, the high principles, the best principles. However, Muthla, Muthla means something that is the best or the preferred or the, like this. By Mufti Richardson's translations, by Ibn Taymiyyah though, the same one that we're learning this particular, or we're reading from his work here on Aqidah al Wasitiyyah. Mutabaqa, Tadamun, and Iltizam are the Arabic terms. Don't get caught up with them in the sense that, you know, you're scared to look at the meaning of it. For Dawah to Mutabaqa, the first one, Mutabaqa, he translates as this: a direct and all-inclusive application of the name. A direct and all-inclusive application. And let's go back a little though. This might help us. The fourth principle concerning Allah's names: Mutabaqa, Tadamum, and Iltizam. Then Musa translates: the names of Allah the Exalted refer to His presence and His attributes by way of three methods of understanding them. What do you understand by the name of Allah the Exalted refer to His presence? I'll say it again. The names of Allah the Exalted refer to His presence and His attributes by way of three methods of understanding them. Anybody? The names of Allah the Exalted, what? Huh? No, listen to I'm saying, what do you understand? The names of Allah the Exalted refer to His presence and His attribute by way of these three methods of understanding them. No. No. Maybe I'm reading too fast. Tell me if I'm reading too fast. People say I talk too fast. Sometimes I do, believe me. The names of Allah the Exalted refer to His presence and His attributes by way of three methods of understanding them. This is clear English. I believe that he means by presence that. And I don't know if that's the best word to use. That's why I often use self or essence. Actual person of Allah. But he uses the term, Musa has decided to use the term presence here. Ala kulli halin. Let's deal with it so we can move on. The evidence called mutabaqa. It is where the word is understood, as he said, all-inclusive. جميع مدلوله. وعلى هذا, based upon this, every name. I guess he means ism here in the real sense of ism, not so much as a noun as I was saying, but name. Every name is evidence of the one you're talking about, the musamma. Alright? And that is Allah. I'm too close. You couldn't just say that? You had to come all the way. You got to get personally involved. Personally. That's mujahid. فكل اسم دال على مسمى به وهو الله وعلى الصفة المشتقة منها هذا الاسم. Every name that we talk about Allah is talking about the one that is named, which is who? Allah. Come on, wake up, brothers. Wake up now. This is getting ridiculous. وعلى الصفة, and the quality that that name is taken from. Example, al-Khaliq, the Creator, it's a name. No, don't get heavy. You're trying to get heavy. Take it. Let's take our time. It's a name of who? Allah. So the name Khaliq is evidence of who? Allah. And a quality, and that's where you come in. a quality that came from that name is what? Khalq. This is mutabaqa. This is mutabaqa. All inclusive. You got two things from that name basically. You got the one that you was originally talking about, which is Allah, al-Khaliq, and then you got the sifa that came from that, the quality, which is that He's the Creator. Jayyid. And the more we give us more examples, inshallah. That's one. This is what Musa means by a direct and all-inclusive application of the name. Doesn't actually comes off like that. Could come more to the word mutabaqa and dealt with that. But nevertheless, at-tadammun is where, as he calls it, a reference to only some of what is necessary included in the meaning of the name. So now we're dealing with ba'd, part of what is included in the name. And that is that the name is talking about, the name that you will call Allah, is talking about Himself, and His that, the actual person of Allah, as we say, which He has translated what? Presence. Or the sifa, the quality itself. Huh? The quality itself. أو على الصفة وحدها من دلالة الضمن, and as inclusive as part of it. Alright? And we'll give examples at the end of it. Thirdly, theological iltizam, and this is a nice translation. He says, a necessary logical conclusion based on the meaning of the name. And the iltizam is the result. It's what must happen, must come, what's lazim. Right? Iltizam. Once you think about the name, a logical conclusion. To illustrate this, he says, the name Allah is al-Khaliq. Refers to both Allah's presence, you see what he means by it now, Allah's actual self, Allah's actual person, and His attribute of creating, together by way of mutabaqa. And all of it included like that. By way of tadammun, the name Khaliq refers to either Allah's presence alone or His attribute of creating alone. And if you were to say, Khaliq, I swear by the Khaliq. Swear by the actual person of Allah Ta'ala, and and you mean by that evidence, or you mean by it, by the way, the Creator. Either one or the other, right? This is a way that reference to only some of what is necessarily included. Alright? Refers to either Allah's presence alone or His attribute of creating alone. And by iltizam, it refers to two attributes of knowledge and capability. He gave an example of that. We deal with this with ism yudillu ala dhatillah, yudillu ala sifat khaliq, and we go on and on and on. Now he gives us an example, maybe we can understand more clear. Example of the word bait. Bait, which is what? So everybody know that, right? Everybody in here knew that. Ain't that something? Bait. It has three aspects of evidences. In the same three aspects that we're talking about, mutabaqa, tadammun, and iltizam. We understand from bait, when we hear the term bait, that it's talking about every type of house. Any type of house you're talking about, that's what the word bait refers to. And this is mutabaqa, a direct and all-inclusive application of the name. Alright? وَتَدِلُّ عَلَى مَجْلِسِ الرِّجَالِ وَحْدَهُ. Also is a word that gives evidence to a man in his special sitting with those who visit him in the Arabic language. وَحْدَهُ. يعني مَجْلِسِ الرِّجَالِ وَحْدَهُ. Men sit by themselves. This is a bait. يعني, if they come to my bait, I'm sitting like this. تدل على مجلس الرجل وحده والحمام وحده. Any more way, we can say living room, put it that way. He means by this, if you say bait, alayka salam, if you say bait, bait by itself includes every house in existence. Then if the term bait is used by itself, it includes what? Every room in the house. Living room, bedroom, kitchen, by itself, right? You understand this point? Or it's going beyond you, right? And in other words, you could have a term that is inclusive of everything, which is the term bait itself. And then that same word can be used as evidence for portions of that thing. And it all can be referred to as bait. Right? Your kitchen's not part of your bait? Maybe not your bait. No, your kitchen's part of your bait. Right? Bathroom's part of your bait. Living room's part of your bait. This is a way of talking about the jizz, the portion. But you mean what? You use the total term. Jayyid. No, this is Tadaman. No. وتدل أن هناك بانيا بناه دلالة التزام. And if you say house, it is evidence that somebody built it by the what? The logical conclusion. You don't talk about a bait unless it's been built by somebody. Where is that bait that hasn't been built? You say, come over to my bait, and it's not built. It's a building that has in fact been what? Constructed by someone. That's a logical what? Conclusion. These are the three types of evidences for the names of Allah Ta'ala. For the names of Allah Ta'ala. Al-Khaliq is the name of Allah Ta'ala, the name of the actual self, or he says presence of Allah Ta'ala. The person of Allah Ta'ala. And it's the name also of the what? The quality that Allah Ta'ala has. And like this. This is one evidence from that standpoint. So these are just a form of evidences, and I don't think he takes so much more than that. Read page 25, Barakallahu Fikum. I'm sure if it's another better, clearer method of explaining it, then Musa will inshallah include it in the next publication of the book, inshallah ta'ala. I'm sure there are words that we can use. And taking each word and constructing it by itself, compounded, murakkab and these type of things. But just to make it clear, inshallah ta'ala, to the best of our ability. Now we go to what the Shaykh himself said, qawluhu, his statement. And it sounds as if he's repeating himself, but he's doing it for a great purpose, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. وَلَا يُكَيِّفُونَ وَلَا يُمَثِّلُونَ صِفَاتِهِ بِصِفَاتِ خَلْقِهِ. And they don't ask how, nor do they make similarities with his qualities, between the qualities of the Creator, and his qualities, and the qualities of the creatures. لأنه سبحانه لا سمي له. Because he, may Allah Ta'ala be glorified. It's a way of saying high above, he is removed from all imperfections. And this will come in the sharh, explanation of it, inshallah. لا كفؤ له. There's no equal to him. No one similar to him. ولا ند له, which is similar to equal. No one like him. ولا يقاس بخلقه سبحانه وتعالى. Nor is he to be looked at analytically in a manner which is comparing him to his creatures. Alright? I wish you guys had some type of just for curiosity is getting the better of me to know how he translated this particular portion. And Maktab Salam. Just stop bringing it, huh? Yeah, stop bringing it. They stopped bringing it. We criticized it and they stopped bringing it. But it's nice to see what he said on this one, you know. وَلَا يُقَاسُ بِخَلْقِهِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى. Anyway, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah says, قَوْلُهُ. Look it up, inshallah. You know where we at? وَقَوْلُهُ لَا يُكَيِّفُونَ وَلَا يُمَثِّلُونَ صفاته بصفات خلقه لأنه سبحانه لا سمي له ولا كفو له ولا ند له ولا يقاس بخلقه سبحانه وتعالى. لا, just look up ولا يكيفون and the rest is there inshallah. قوله ولا يكيفون, meaning the people of Sunnah and those who gather upon it, those who follow the way of the Sahaba, al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah. We proceeded that we said they don't make taqyif, mentioning the how of the quality of Allah Ta'ala. They don't mention it, nor with their tongues, nor do they go into it with their hearts. This is nice. So while ذكرتها بلسانك, whether you mention it on your tongue, or بقلبك, or with your heart. You should not be trying to get into the how of the qualities of Allah Ta'ala. For the people of Sunnah wal Jama'ah, لا يكيفون أبدا. They never go into how, ask how, about the reality of Allah Ta'ala's qualities. Never. Abadan. Abadan. Yani, meaning, لا يقولون, they don't say, كيفية يده كذا وكذا. The how of Allah's hand is like this and like this. And the how of Allah's face is like this and like this. فلا يكيفون هذا بلسان. They don't ask how upon their tongue. ولا بقلب عيد, nor with their heart. يعني نفس الإنسان, يعني themselves, the person himself, لا يتصور. He doesn't try to conceptualize, doesn't try to picture, doesn't try to view, doesn't try to figure out a how to the arising of Allah, for instance, upon his throne, or the descending of Allah Ta'ala to the heavens of the dunya, or how the face of Allah Ta'ala is, or how the hand of Allah Ta'ala is. وَلَا يَجُوزُ, it is not permissible أن يحاول ذلك أيضا, to even try to do that also. It's not permissible at all. لأن هذا يؤدي إلى أحد أمرين, because this will lead you to one or two matters. Ain't no third. One or two matters. If you sit there and try to how? إما التمثيل, lead you to making comparison between Allah and his creatures. أعوذ بالله كالسلام, which is horrible, to make a comparison between Allah and his creatures, because Allah Ta'ala, there's nothing or no one like him, and the creatures are not like Allah Ta'ala in any way, shape, fashion, or form. So you are committing a great sin if you fall into this tamthil, believing that Allah's qualities are like the qualities of his creatures. The face of Allah is like the face of his creatures. The hands of Allah is like the hands of his creatures. Tamthil. It's haram. Tamthil. وَإِمَّا تَعْطِيل, or it will lead you to rejecting the names and qualities of Allah. I can't figure out how for it, so forget it. Rejecting the names and qualities of Allah. وَلِهَذَا, because of this, لَا يَجُوز. And when the Sheikh says that he's a faqih, he knows what he means by لَا يَجُوز. It's not permissible, and it's haram. It's haram to try to know the how of the qualities of Allah. How did Allah Ta'ala rise over his throne? Or to ask it with one's tongue. بل ولا يسأل عن كيفية. Don't ask about the how. لأن Imam Malik رحمه الله قال, because Imam Malik said, السؤال عنه بدعة. To ask about it is an innovation. إن فعلت ذلك, were you were to do that, قلنا إنك مبتدع. Ibn Taymiyyah says, if you were to do that, we would say that you are an innovator. إنك مبتدع. And we proceeded before by bringing the evidence, as the Sheikh says, showing that it's forbidden to ask how. And we gave the evidence upon that from as-Sam, the revelation, and from al-Aql, the intellect and the reasoning. قوله, his statement. You didn't find it yet, man? SubhanAllah. And the book is before you. And it's in your language. Allahumma musta'an. Allahumma musta'an.
Labas, inshallah. I'll look at it later. You know, acting like a man trying to change his name from Kunta Kinte to Toby or something, man. You know this language, man. Allahu musta'an. It's English. وَلَا يُمَثِّلُونَ صِفَاتِهِ بِصِفَاتِ خَلْقِهِ. أي أهل السنة, the people of Sunnah wal-Jama'ah, do not make similarities between Allah Tabarak Ta'ala and His creatures. They don't make similarity between the qualities of Allah and the qualities of His creatures. وَهَذَا مَعْنَى, this meaning is the statement, مِنْ غَيْرِ تَمْثِيلٍ, without making similarities. And we showed before the evidence is showing that it's forbidden to make tamthil, sam'an, revelation, from Qur'an and Sunnah, wa aqlan, and rationally. When the sum, وَوَرَدَ خَبْرًا وَطَلَبًا فِي نَفِي تَمْثِيلٍ. And that the ayat and the hadith have shown that we do not make similarities between Allah and His creatures. فَهُمْ لَا يُكَيِّفُونَ, they don't ask how, وَلَا يُمَثِّلُونَ, they don't make similarities. They don't ask how, they don't think about how, they don't place upon their hearts how, they don't put on their tongue how, nor do they make similarities. Say it's like this, well if my hand's like this, then Allah's hand must be like this, and if your hand like that, then His hand must be like this, and my face like this, then Allah, they don't do this. They understand this is kufr, this is incorrect, this is haram, so they don't do it. So those who do it are the mubtadi'ah, are not the people from Sunnah. The people of Sunnah hearts are pure and clean from this madness and this type of foolishness. لأنه سبحانه, because He subhanahu comes from sabbaha. The ulama say the ma'naha, the meaning of it is nazzaha, to remove or to raise above something. Min sabbaha, and asluha min subh, and it's al-bu'd, to be far away from something. So you find our brothers translating it as far above Allah, or far above He is, glory be to Him, far above He is from any imperfection. This is how they take that one word, subhana, and translate into the English, right? And that's what it means. It means ka'annaka tub'ad, it's as if you remove the qualities of Allah from any type of naqs, imperfection, and you raise Allah Ta'ala in a manner that befits Him above any type of imperfection, above any type of deficiency. This is what the term subh means. So when we say subhanallah, that's what we mean. Or we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's what we mean. High above He is, removed from any imperfection, any deficiency. La samiyyalah, and that no one who's a namesake for Him, who has the right really to bear His name. La samiyyalah. And it's taken from an ayat in Qur'an. The dalil is the statement of Allah in Surah Maryam. Rabbus samawati wal ard, Lord of the heavens and the earth. Wa ma baynahuma, and all that is between them. Fa'budhu, then worship Him. Wastabir, and be patient. Li'ibadatihi, for His worship. Hal ta'lamu lahu samiyya, do you know anyone who has the right to bear His name? Or anyone who has the right to share His name? Like this. Istifham, it says hal, do you know? Istifham bima'na nafi, question given in a manner of denial. You can do that in the Arabic language. You can do it in English also. Don't be questioning but denying something. Alright? ويأتي نفي بصيغة استفهام لفائدة عظيمة. Why would a denying come in a manner of a question? It comes for a great benefit in the Arabic language. And it's called a tahaddi, a challenge. When a challenge is to be issued, this is the best way to bring a denial in a questionary manner. Alright? this is understood in the Arabic language. لأن هناك فرق بين أن أقول, because the Sheikh says there's a difference if I say لا سمي له, no one has the right to bear his name, or no one's equal to him in his name, or like this. Or I say, do you know for him a name? Someone who has a right to bear his name? Someone on that level? You see the difference. Even in English you can see the difference. لأن هل تعلم الأصمية includes a denial and a challenge. So it's understood in the Arabic language this is a challenge. وهذه قاعدة مهمة. This is an important principle, he says. كل ما كان استفهام بمعنى نفي, anytime you run across a question in a form of denial, you are to understand that it's a challenge. It's an Arabic form called التحدي, challenge. كأني أقول إن كنت صادقا, if you're telling the truth, bring me somebody who has the right to bear his name, or who is on a level of bearing his name, right? And this is a what? This is a challenge. وهذا فهل تعلم سمية أبلغ من لا سمية له. So based upon this, if we say, do you know for him a name? Like that, it's more expansive than we said, there's no one who has a right to bear his name, or in this way, like this. والسمي هو مسامي أي ممثل. The Sheikh is saying that rather than say namesake, you can say similar. I bet you if we pick up the English translation, we probably would not come around. I'm just trying to knock every translation, don't get me wrong, but you can only know these things from sitting in these type of jalasat. Surah Maryam, verse 65. English, Allah Yahdi. La ba'as, inshaAllah ta'ala. While he looks for that, and the other brother looks for Aqidah al Wasitiyyah, we'll continue. Naam, 65. So he's saying what the ayah means is, do you know for him any equal, any similarity, anyone similar? Because السمي هو المسامي أي مماثل, someone similar. And this helps me a great deal, because namesake and someone equal to name is a little difficult to translate. Yeah. And it's going to take you a while to do that, huh? Forever. Allahu Akbar. Well, the next part of it, huh? You're not used to that particular... You read the Arabic only, yani, usually. Yeah, Surah Maryam, verse 65. Chapter of Mary, Akhi.
Yes. The Lord of the heavens and the earth and all that is between them, so worship Him alone and be constant and patient in His worship. Do you know any who is similar?
Allahu Akbar. Jayyid. That's why that's the noble Qur'an. قَالُهُ وَلَا كُفًا لَهُ. No equal, كُفُوًا لَهُ. No equal to him. Translated, of course, by Muhsin Khan and Sheikh Taqiyuddin al-Hilali. وَلَا كُفًا لَهُ. Yani no equal here also for him. ودليل قوله تعالى ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Yani this is the dalil for no kufu for Allah Tabarak Ta'ala. No similar, no equal. وقوله ولا ند له. Also the term is equal. دليل قوله تعالى فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون. Don't make for Allah any equals while you know. Surah Al-Baqarah verse 22. أَيِّ تَعْلَمُونَهُ لَا نِدْ لَهُ. You know that there's no nid for him. No nadir, no equal. No one similar. These three matters, السميع والقفو والند, their meanings are متقارب جدا, are very, very close. Their meanings are what? Very, very close. Huh? لأن معنى القفو is the one الذي يكافئه لا يكافئه شيء شيء. يعني, and something cannot be equal to something unless it's similar to it. فإن لم يكن مثله, if it's not similar to it, then it won't be equal to it. So these are all things that are saying ليس له مثيل. There's nothing equal or similar to Allah تبارك وتعالى. وهذا النفي المقصود منه كمال صفاته. What is meant when we deny by saying there's no equal, there's no one similar, is because of perfection. What is meant is to affirm the perfection of the qualities of Allah Ta'ala. لأنه لكمال صفاته, because of His perfect qualities, no one is similar to Him. And we'll get into this issue of why things are denied and what matters are greater, or matters that are greater are affirmed through the denying. That's, in other words, it's not randomly done. It's a great wisdom behind it. And he has shown us some of this right here, or has given us a hint by saying what is maqsood, what is intended by saying there's no equal to Allah Ta'ala, is because He's what? To affirm that He's perfect in His qualities. And there's no equal because Allah Ta'ala is perfect in His names and qualities, perfect in His sifatih. So no one is equal to Him. Now the statement of Taymiyyah, لا يقاس بخلقه, and he's not to be analytically looked at and compared with His creatures. The Shaykh gives us this, and don't, like I said, don't run away also from these issues. And qiyas, when you analyze something, or analogy of something, is split into three types in the Arabic language, or in three types in three types he brings here that way. He calls one qiyas shumul, qiyas tamthil, qiyas awaliyah. I'll translate it and talk as I go along. That'll make it quicker, inshallah. Qiyas shumul is where you look at everything and place it under one matter. And to every individual thing that you're talking about is under this thing. For instance, if he gives example, if you say the all living, then you say everything living can be put under this, what's called qiyas shamul. Comprehensively, it can all be included in this, because all of them are what? Living things. So they can all be placed up under this, qiyas shamul, right? You can't do this with Allah. You cannot do this with Allah Ta'ala. You cannot place Him with His creatures under the thing saying they're all living. Because the living of Allah Ta'ala is what? Different. He's answering with an ayah and you're answering with that. Different. No comparison. Cannot be imagined. Not equal. لا تقاس حياة الله, the life of Allah Ta'ala is not to be compared at all with the life of His creatures. So that you can say all of them under the name living. No. This is qiyas shumul, analyzing and looking at it analytically in that way, giving an analogy to Allah Ta'ala in that way, is not permissible. So this is why he says, لا يقاس. It's not to be any type of analogy drawn between Allah Ta'ala and His creatures. It's not to be judged in that way. That, okay, this is the far and this is the asl, this is the branch and this is the root, right? So, because of some factor between them that is shared, they can be placed up on the same thing. This cannot be done for Allah Ta'ala. And the other type is qiyas al-tamthil, similarity. Analogy based upon similarity. This thing is grouped with this thing because they're similar. You cannot do this with Allah Ta'ala and His creatures. Right? This thing is to be grouped with this thing because it's similar. All men are grouped together because they're what? Men. Right? All males are grouped together because they're males. All females are grouped together because they're females. You can't do this with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. The qiyas that's permissible is the qiyas what is called al-Awwalawiyah, in the sense that which is first, or first and foremost. That every matter of perfection that the creatures have, Allah Ta'ala has the right first and foremost to have that quality. And يَكُونَ الْفَرْعَ أَوْلَى بِالْحُكْمِ مِنَ الْأَصْلِ. And this is what is used regarding Allah. When Allah says, لِلَّهِ مَثَلَ الْأَعْلَى, for Allah is the highest example. Bima'na, the meaning that every quality of perfection, Allah Ta'ala has it first and foremost. Hearing is a quality of perfection. Quality of perfection in general. So Allah should be the one who has it first and foremost. Seeing is a quality of perfection, right? So Allah should be the one who has it first and foremost, right? Knowledge is a quality of perfection. So Allah should be the one who has it first and foremost. Qudra, ability, life, wisdom. All of these things are present also within the makhlukat, the creatures, with a great wide amount of distance that cannot even be talked about difference. But Allah has it to the highest level and most perfect level. The highest level and perfect level. Okay? So he says, فَلِلَّهِ تَعَالَى أَعْلَاهَا. Yani every quality of perfection, Allah has the most perfect one and the most highest level of it. So the most highest level of hearing, who possesses it? Allah. The most highest level of hearing, who possesses it? Allah. The most highest level of knowledge, who possesses it? Allah. The most highest level of power, who possesses it? Allah. Like this. So, sometimes this is used as a reasoning, evidence from reasoning. You can say, al-ulu, quality of being high and lofty, being above everything, is a quality of perfection even amongst the creatures. So if it's a quality of perfection amongst the creatures, then it's a quality of perfection for the Creator first and foremost. You find this in the words of the scholars. So the saying of the author, rahimahullah, Ibn Taymiyyah, وَلَا يُقَاسْ بِخَلْقِهِ, he's not to be compared or made any type of analogical deduction between Allah and His creatures, after he said that there's no equal for Him, no one similar to Him. Yani, he means any type of analogy where you're going to make Allah equal between Him with His creatures. And those were the two types we mentioned. So therefore we cannot make an analogy between Allah and His creatures, because there is this vast, great, unknowable, beyond us matter of difference that exists between Allah and the creatures. And the Shaykh makes a point here that some may understand or some may not understand. He said, and if in matters of legislation we don't make analogies of obligatory upon something that's permissible, or permissible upon something that's obligatory, then in qualities, in the matters of the area of the name, of the qualities of the creatures and the Creator, first and foremost, we wouldn't go into that area and make analysis. We don't make it, if something's wajib, we don't compare it to something that's just jaiz. 5 times a day salat is what? Wajib. Right? Eating bread is what? Jaiz is wajib too? Might be wajib for some brothers, but not wajib for all. No, jaiz. We don't make analogies between the two things, is what he's saying. Naam, lo qala laka qa'il. If a person wants to say to you, Allah Ta'ala exists, and you say, yeah, He exists. So what men exist? Yes, they exist. Then existence of Allah and existence of the men are the same based upon qiyas. Analyze between them. We say, la yasih, not permissible, not true. Because the existence of Allah is wajib, a must. And the existence of men is mumkin, possible. Possible. It wasn't wajib. Allah brought them into existence. There was a time they did not exist. Huh? فَلَوْ قَالَ, that if he says that I want to make a analogy between the hearing of Allah Ta'ala and the hearing of the creatures, we say, la yumkin, not possible. Because the hearing of Allah Ta'ala is that which is wajib lahu, and a must, and it cannot be separate from him. It's from his qualities of perfection. No deficiency comes to it. وَهُوَ shamin. The hearing is total and comprehensive. He hears everything. Whereas the hearing of a man is what? Mumkin, possible. All men don't hear. Possible here, possible you don't hear. Your hearing might be qawi, strong, and another man's hearing might be da'if. You might have the type of hearing you can hear people talking about you in the back. Another guy can't hear a person talking about him in front of him. This is quite possible. If you're Jews and you let insan asam, because a man can be born not hearing, deaf. And also a child that is born hearing can have a deficiency in his hearing, and his hearing in general is mahdud, is limited. Therefore Allah Ta'ala cannot be compared with his creatures. This is the point that Ibn Taymiyyah is making. Allah cannot be compared with his creatures. Every quality of perfection, every quality of Allah cannot be compared to the quality, or there's no quality of Allah that can be compared to the quality of his creatures, and it's greater because of the great, like we said, beyond us in our understanding difference. This one was not hard upon you, and if so, you go back over the tape, inshallah ta'ala, do some more reading, and make dua to Allah ta'ala, Allahumma rabbi zidni ilman, and Allah grant her the understanding to Ibrahim and Sulaiman and Ibn Abbas, if you will. Grant me understanding like this. Go get it from its source. Barakallahu feekum. قوله فإنه أعلم سبحانه بنفسه وبغيره. Allah has more knowledge regarding himself and regarding and than anyone else, yani, and he's most truthful in his speech. وأحسن حديث من خلقه, and better in his explanation, or better in his words than his creatures. And we'll take that, and he'll inshallah ta'ala discuss it the next time. And I guess the next time will be after Eid. So, هكذا. Alright. Huh? Did you say? Yeah, you would now. Let me see it. This is becoming a sunnah for you. ابن القيم هكذا. Nor do they regard his attributes as like the attributes of the creatures. This is what? Chinese? What did you say? Nor do they regard his attributes as like the attributes of the creatures. This is what? La yumathilun. They don't make tamthil. Then he says, and nor do they describe their states. And his way of saying, describing how. The reason is that nothingness is in the likeness of Allah, nor is anything comparable or partner to Him. Not to follow analogy from amongst His creatures, to demonstrate likeness and comparability with Him. La bas, inshallah. Naam. Any questions? Limited.
another thing that like you said, the question is a challenge. That's also a challenge thing. When Ibrahim alayhi salam challenged the king, he said, Allah gives life and causes death. And the king said, well, I give life and I cause death. And Ibrahim said, but Allah caused the sun to rise from the east instead of the west. Can you make it rise from the west? That was his challenge.
That's a challenge, yeah.
Challenge question. Like,
yeah, but it's not like what we're talking about, though.
oh, it's different.
We're talking about where a question is giving in a denial state. I mean, a state where you're denying something. View that's understood in the Arabic language as a challenge.
So you say, like saying, do you really believe that Allah can see everything in the world? That type of question where you really don't believe it. When you're asking it in that sense, like you're denying it.
No, not like that. Like he brought it here. Do you know for him anyone similar to him?
All right.
We'll stick to that example. And I'm sure we can find other examples in the Arabic language, but you know what I mean? Just for the sake of brevity.
I want to run off.
إيه الله يبارك فيكم. نعم. عندك شيء؟ You got منهج الأنبياء. أخي this is Aqidah al Wasitiyyah class, أخي. Now now if we started studying منهج الأنبياء, you have Aqidah al Wasitiyyah, wouldn't you? No, I'm just joking with you, أخي. It's a good book, brilliant book. نعم. If there's no as'ila, then there's no need to keep sitting here saying na'am. The internet has anything? Jayyid. I think everybody's preparing themselves for Eid. And normally we wouldn't have this class like this, you know, on these type of days. You know. But inshallah khair. There'll be plenty of Eid days. And then brothers be wanting a class. It's time to celebrate, they want a class, yeah? Be at Eid. After you gonna give us a dust? I walk by, I don't say nothing, man. Everything in its time and place, inshallah. Nah, عندك سؤال? Huh? It's a little سؤال, what? Countenance? Countenance means face too, English language. Yeah. You have a beautiful countenance. Countenance. Your countenance. I don't even know how to say it myself. Some of the stuff you're going to have to go to Shakespearean dictionaries or something for, man. Because, I mean, that's what they get that stuff from.
Same thing.
Hmm?
Looking at you.
Yeah, your face, your countenance. Well, then that's a different thing now. Now you're getting into tahrif. No. Now you're getting into tahrif. That's a whole different thing. Yeah. No, but somebody uses the term face. Alright. Or they say wajh. Or they say countenance. Or like this. I mean, those are just different words meaning the same thing. Wajh means face in Arabic language. But I mean, somebody who says it doesn't mean that. Hmm? What do you mean it means both? I mean, we have to look into what they say. Because the verse itself could mean reward, right? And looking at the face of Allah is a reward. May Allah bless us to achieve that reward. I mean, it's a reward. So it depends on what they mean. Don't hair split over it though.